Today, we're going to explore an idea that really challenges the way we think about, well, everything. It's about letting go of our rigid, boxed in way of seeing the world and embracing something a lot more fluid, a lot more connected.
And to really get our heads around this, we have to start with a deceptively simple question. Can you actually kill something with good intentions? The answer to that is really at the core of this whole thing.
So, let's kick things off with a powerful little story, a metaphor really, that shows how our desperate need to help can sometimes go horribly, horribly wrong. This line from the source material just cuts right to the bone, doesn't it? It perfectly captures this paradox of trying to do good. And this idea really sets the stage for everything we're about to get into. Okay, so here's the story. A person finds a chrysalis, and inside, a butterfly is fighting like crazy to get out. Feeling sorry for it, thinking they're being kind, they take some tiny scissors and carefully snip the cocoon open. But the butterfly that comes out is all wrong. It's weak, its wings are shriveled up, and it can't fly. It just falls to the ground and dies. And here's the crucial insight. That struggle wasn't some unfortunate obstacle. The struggle was the entire point. The fight to break free is what forces fluid into the butterfly's wings, giving them the strength they need for flight. That so-called help didn't save it, it doomed it. So how in the world does a butterfly connect to us? Well, the source argues that we do this all the time, not to insects, but to ourselves, to humanity as a whole. Just like the person who helped the butterfly, we see a struggle in society, and with the very best intentions, we rush in to fix it. We build a rigid system, an ideology, an ism that we're sure is the answer. But what often happens is we just create a new kind of prison, which then forces a reaction, creating even more conflict instead of solving it. And this right here shows the trap perfectly. We invent monotheism to fight polytheism. We come up with communism to fight capitalism. Each ism pops up as the supposed cure for the last one. But do you see the pattern? All we end up with are these warring opposites, forcing everyone to pick a team. And we never realize we're just making the prison walls thicker. We're still stuck inside the chrysalis, fighting shadows. So if our logical, rigid systems are actually the problem, how do we get out? Well, this is where it gets really interesting. The source proposes this incredible tool called the imaginary concept, and it's all about building a totally new kind of path forward. Now stick with me here. We're going to take a quick detour into math, but I promise it's worth it. Think about the number I, the square root of -1. On the number line we use every day, it's impossible. You can't have I dollars in your pocket. But here's the thing. Without I, huge fields like quantum physics and electrical engineering just wouldn't work. It's a kind of necessary fiction that lets us build a bridge to a whole new dimension of understanding. So, the argument is that we have a human version of this, an imaginary concept. It's not a logical argument you can debate, it's a transmission of pure experience. You know that feeling you get from a powerful piece of music, or a line in a poem that just hits you? That's it. It's like a direct download from one soul to another that totally bypasses the clumsy mechanics of language and logic. It's communication through pure resonance. Now, why does that even work? How is that possible? It works because at the deepest level, the separation we see between everything, between energy and information, between you and me, it's an illusion. It's just a product of our limited, rigid way of thinking. The source says that energy and information aren't two different things. They're a single, indivisible substance. Think about the air. You breathe it to live, right? But it's also the very medium that carries sound to your ears and light to your eyes. It's one thing doing many things. In the same way, energy is just information on the move. And information is just energy that has a structure. It's all the same stuff. And this idea creates a fascinating parallel with physics. Look at this. If our polarized world of isms is like matter, then this non-dual, unified way of seeing things is like its opposite, antimatter. And you know what happens when matter and antimatter meet? They annihilate each other and release pure energy. In the same way, when our rigid, dualistic thoughts dissolve, they can release us into a higher state of awareness. A unified field the source calls superconsciousness. Okay, so once you start to actually perceive reality this way, as this unified field of energy information, your whole process of thinking can change. It can shift from being this rigid, block-by-block thing to something way more organic, something liquid. The source calls this a liquid structure.
Get this, it's a way of thinking that doesn't build an argument from the ground up, piece by piece. Instead, an idea emerges out of a break in space, out of nothingness, out of pure potential. And it just flows, connecting ideas that seemed separate without being crammed into any pre-built box. And there's a name for this state of fluid, connected perception: metaphrenia. Now, from the outside, it might look like chaos, like entropy or randomness, but it's actually a much higher form of order. It's syntropy. It's a way of thinking that flows like water. It can take the shape of any container you pour it into, but it always remains a single unified whole.
So, what does this all mean for us? What's the big takeaway? Let's bring this all home with a really modern twist on a classic philosophical idea you've probably heard of. Yeah, we all know the story of Plato's cave. You've got these prisoners chained up, staring at a wall, and they think the shadows flickering on it are the real world. The whole point is for someone to break free, get outside, and see the actual sun. But what if that allegory is dangerously out of date for us? The source proposes a really chilling update to this story. Our problem today isn't that we're trapped in the cave, it's that we've decorated the cave. We have 8K TVs, endless social media feeds, and nonstop content projecting these incredibly high-definition shadows. And these shadows are so compelling, so entertaining, that we've completely lost the desire to even look for an exit. We've mistaken the glow of the screen for the warmth of the sun. And that leads us to the final, absolutely mind-bending idea from this source. What if we've completely misunderstood the cave? What if the wall that seems to be our prison, the very surface projecting all those convincing shadows we're so obsessed with, what if it isn't a wall at all? What if it's a mirror? A mirror simply reflecting our own collective refusal to see the boundless liquid reality that is already and has always been all around us and inside us. What then?